Hey guys, just wanted to give you a little report. I wasn't at the Lighthouse Bookstore this weekend, as most of you know, from my Instagram and from the Satori Show on Sunday. I'm going to share the story again because it's pretty funny. So it's funny because this kind of actually ties into this other thing that happened. Anyway, I started tanning knowing that summer was coming. And I was tanning nude. So I was just curious, since I wasn't wearing a bikini top or bottom, was there any white in back of me? So I went to look and I was like, oh, there's some white, but it's not like white. It's not like it wasn't real obvious or anything. So anyway, I was doing a little investigation and then I was like, well, maybe I do want to wear bikini bottoms or have like some nice lines or something going on. I had only tanned like once or twice. So I had, plenty of time to adjust my lines and whatnot. And for those of you who tan, you know what I mean. But I did find that there was a mole in my crack. And actually there were two of them. There was a bigger one and a smaller one, and they were flat. They weren't ugly or anything. In fact, they were kind of cute, but I didn't like that they were hidden and that I'd never seen them before. So for the last year or so, I've been removing moles. And then I got this mysterious email from somebody probably who's watching right now, something about some research that she has done on moles, and talked to another lady who said something about how moles are just these little toxic pockets that are just like ready to roll any minute. And anyway, through all these signs and synchronicities and things, I really just felt pulled to remove all my moles. So when I found those, I went to my dermatologist and asked her to remove all of them. Like whatever ones remained, just please take them off. She goes, oh, we don't do that. We don't really do that. We just remove any that look threatening, And she says, we would have to do a biopsy on each of those moles to see if they're benign or malignant or whatever. So I said, I don't mind getting a biopsy on every one of them, let's do it. She's like, yeah, but it costs this to do that. And I said, I don't care. I would like them removed, please. And she still was like, no. And then I said, well, will you at least take this one off? And I pointed out the bigger mole that was in my cheeks. And she said, all right, fine. Yeah. If you're going to pinpoint one, you may as well have it be that one. It's the bigger of the two. And yeah, let's go with that one. So she agreed to do that. And it turned out to be cancerous. So then I went back in the next visit and I was like, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but she goes, no, we're getting rid of all of them. Fine. It's fine. Just get rid of all of them. So then I, go through that whole thing of realizing, oh my God, I've got cancer. What now? And then, you start to identify it. Oh my gosh, I have cancer. And you start to go through all these different feelings with it. And, fears arise or things like, well, what if I'm going to die in a matter of weeks? So many things run through your head, but I have enough experience working on myself to where I was pretty much able to stay out of all those stories. I stayed really centered, and I knew that my only chance for survival, or my best chance for survival in making it, was to actually expect the best and to be optimistic and to not believe any of those scary stories that I could have told myself. So I took it all in stride, kept a good attitude, and I thought, there's a miracle in this somewhere. Things don't happen to me that aren't miracles. So whatever this is, it's disguised really well as something that can be kind of scary, you know? So, so I rode the waves, and I took my own advice, and I made, and I did an exercise for your guys' benefit. Thank you, God, for my misery. Somebody had just coincidentally commented and asked me if I could please share a direct example. And I thought, wow, there couldn't be a more perfect example of something that would be pretty horrifying to find out than cancer, right? So I actually did. One of my videos is dealing with finding out bad news like that as using a worse thing. Because, you know, it's like, it's one thing to say, well, it's a good thing that I lost my job, you know, because here I can find a new one. I can maybe change careers. And it's just like, if I were to have used a lesser example, then you could have excused it as, oh, well, she just hasn't had that happen to her. Or that's not that big of a deal. That's not life-threatening. That's not, you know. So I thought that I would challenge myself to follow my own advice and do that exercise for myself. And also keeping in mind that, you know, I added some things in there also that would apply to you guys that wouldn't apply to me, such as like kids doing chores and things like that, I obviously don't have any kids. I don't know if that's obvious, but I don't have any kids. So anyway, I didn't announce that's what was going on. I used it as an example, but, you know, I had to weigh out whether I was going to share it with you guys or not. And then I thought, well, I'm authentic and real about everything else. May as well just be transparent about this as well. And so basically, it was so cool how it all started to happen, because immediately they want you to get in for surgery to have whatever they can removed. And they did. And so I have like 6 Band-Aids all over my body, all these holes, basically. I can show you. Like you have these holes from these moles and whatnot. But basically they just get removed and they leave like a hole like that. I think I have another one up there. Yeah. So there's these holes like all over my body where these moles were removed, and they've been healing for like a week. They're getting better, a lot better now. But at the same time, this is so crazy because I'm having to buy, like, I had a surplus of Band-Aids when I moved into this place, you know, and my roommate's like, you got a lot of kind of weird stuff. And I was like, I know, I don't know why I have so many Band-Aids, but I do. Sure enough, man, I used every single one of them on all these different moles all over me. Then I go back to the store where you buy Band-Aids, and they're 50% off. So I was able to like stock up on a bunch of other ones. And I was just kind of laughing at the universe doing that, you know, like, oh, and here, this is this. And, you know, you get 50% off here. And they just made it like so easy for me and so like winky the whole entire time, right? So then I go, I get my surgery done, and the doctor is hilarious. And he makes this joke about how tanning actually he's like, tanning saved your butt. I was like, yeah. And they took a huge chunk out there. It was huge. It was like that thick and like that tall, or it was like that wide and like that tall and about that big of a chunk near my tailbone. And trust me, oh my gosh, when they dropped the thing in the cup next to me and I saw the chunk, I almost fainted right on the spot. So, but the doctor was freaking hilarious. And then it was supposed to be like a $1,300 to $1,500 surgery. He ended up charging $300 something. So it's like all along the way, there were these cute little winks and smiles from the universe. And then he just said too, that you don't necessarily know that something is cancerous like that. Like I got to thinking about it. I went through all these different waves, you know, like, you know, from survival things that I'm purging survival and safety things from when I was a kid and all of this type of stuff. And I've talked to a couple of other spiritual leaders who have been helping me process it as well. And I did a divine guidance council on it, a meeting on that. I teach you guys how to do that on YouTube as well. So, you know, I've grown and learned a lot, but one of the things occurred to me, like this mole was like playing Russian roulette. It he said that it wasn't necessarily the tanning bed that did it. It was just ready to go anytime. And it may have been there all along in that stage. It was the very, very beginning stage. So I would never have known. And all of a sudden, boom, it goes off like a gun, and it could have spread very rapidly and killed me. So he said that it was actually a miracle that you found it and that you wanted to remove it, because it didn't really look dangerous. My dermatologist didn't even see any danger in it. In fact, she said, why don't you just watch it for a while and see if it starts to turn or anything. And I thought, how often do you look in your crack? No, we're going to get rid of this thing. And I'm so glad I insisted, Anyway, so the whole entire experience has been a tremendous blessing in so many ways. And it actually also happens that my car needed work at that time. So it's like my vehicle got worked on at the same time and got total overhauls on our systems. I feel like I've gotten rid of anything that's toxic in my life, everything toxic on my body, anything toxic with my car. My sweet little car is running nice now. And so all of this kind of like a big upheaval all happened around the same time. So it was really cool. It was kind of neat going through my recovery and healing process, knowing that my car was also kind of going through the same thing. I know that sounds funny, but I love my car. And and not only that, but crazy dreams and things. And I've been hearing about stories of people being kind of paranoid, and oh my gosh, the pain from this. I can't even, the day after my surgery, you guys, I had all these people pressuring me for readings and all of this stuff was going on. And I was just like, if you guys could just be a fly on my wall right now, you guys would not give me a hard time about this. It was only maybe one person, hello, where's my reading? It hadn't even been it hadn't even been the end of their time period that they had to wait for it. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm not giving you guys a hard time. I'm just saying, if you guys just could have seen what I was going through, you would not even, you'd have just left me alone for days and just been sending, messages of encouragement, because I went to the bathroom the day after my surgery and the room just started spinning and I turned just pale white. All the blood left me and I was just sweating buckets. It made my hair wet. I mean, this is wet from a shower, but it was I was pale and buckets of sweat, and I threw up and could barely walk back to my bed because the pain was so awful. And so then I had to take these painkillers, and then the painkillers make you just all wonky and crazy, and I was just stumbling around for a couple days. And it was pretty traumatic for my poor little body. Of course, then I went and had some energy work done by a friend, and that just definitely helped kind of cool everything down a little bit. So do that. I'm telling you, I'm going into detail with this because for you guys who have moles, and you might have to brace yourself for this, because I really downplayed it. I kept my schedule, I kept my calendar, I kept everything. It was just going to be like putting a Band-Aid on something, and it just wasn't. It was much, much bigger than I thought it was going to be, and they did a lot more to me than I had anticipated. But I am completely 100% cancer-free. Now they just have to monitor me and watch to see if any other moles don't pop up, I guess. Okay, so the other thing that's been coming up lately is paranoia and people saying that you did things that you didn't do. So I had heard another reader say that, and I was like, I haven't really said that yet. But one thing that's cool about being tied into a community like this is you do get little warnings of things that are happening to other people start happening for you a lot of times, or vice versa. So it's nice to kind of keep each other in the loop as to energetic shifts that happen like that, because I had it happen to me today. I had... as part of my cleansing process, when I found out I had cancer around that time, I realized a friend of mine was actually quite manipulative, and she had been lying. to a guy she liked. She was pretty much playing these games and acting like she wasn't doing it. And I was calling her on it. I mean, who would be a friend of mine and I wouldn't be like calling them out on stuff if they're lying, right? But she would lie. She would lie to me that she didn't do it or that she didn't and it was just like one thing after another. And it's just like, are you eventually just going to admit that you were lying and manipulating that situation? Or do you really want me to believe this? Is this a pathological lying problem? And so I started to realize that this wasn't the healthiest of relationships if somebody can't admit their stuff, and I didn't like what she was doing to the other person involved at all. And so I basically cut off that friendship. Yet another one bites the dust. But it's good though, because now we're going to be building good, healthy, strong relationships, honest relationships. So anyway, she had pretty much left me alone. She joked once to try to get me engaged. It's like when you try to get rid of somebody in your life, and especially if they're wrong or like in the wrong or that they know, maybe she's aware that she lies, maybe not, because I guess you could really fool yourself and be in denial. I don't know, but it wasn't healthy for me anyway. But anyway, when you try to X somebody like that out, they'll go through their wigging out process. They'll go through the mourning process. They'll go through anger, bargaining, all that stuff. So be prepared and don't give in. Because, she tried to get me to laugh, and I actually did kind of crack up at the message, but I wasn't going to say anything to her because she was looking for a way to wiggle back in, and then that didn't work. And so then she tried saying something to the effect of like, I had taken her phone number and used it somehow to like scam her, like not scam her, send spam. That's what it was. She thought it was like having people spam her, and my name was showing up in her phone with her phone number. And I was like, well, I don't even know what it would take to make something like that happen. I don't even know what her phone number is. She is just like programmed in my phone, sitting there warning me when she does anything now. So it's like, and she knows that I would never do something like that. And I'm not the vindictive type. I am the forgiving type. I am the one who focuses on myself and my own personal growth through anything that ever happens. So she was just trying to hook me yet another way. But then I was like, dang, that's really conniving. Like that is so like, either that is the universe being hilarious, like trying to, like work on her conscience and get her to like do the right thing and apologize or admit to lying or whatever. Or she did that. In that, as somebody who could do that is like, then I would have really underestimated her ability to be such a liar and manipulator that she would actually like spam herself and have my name on it somehow, or like put my name on whatever it is. So you guys, it's true. It's happening right now. The energy it's happening. Don't get too paranoid. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. Protect yourself as best you can. Do whatever you can to stay away from the person and the toxicity. Unless somebody comes to you correct. If somebody's done you wrong and they come to you and they admit it and they say, you know what, I was really in the wrong when I did this and that, and they can go into detail about it, and they can really just kind of like come to you with their arms wide open and just being like, here it is, and here's why, or whatever. If they want to come clean, then, think about it. But I don't know. Sometimes with people like that, it's just best to get rid of them because they're just no good. They're no good for you. And if they've lied before like that, they're capable of doing it again. Although when they admit it and they're aware like that, they could be manipulating you to get back in, or they could honestly be changed. So then you would just have to watch their behavior. But for me, it's like, I just want my friends to be coming from a good place. I want them to just be honest and supportive and encouraging. That's it. There's not a whole lot required, but you know, there are just a lot of people out there with a kind of a false front. So I don't know. And if somebody's taking pictures all the time, and they have to look perfect and they have to be filtered all the time, that should be a little bit of a warning. Or if everything in their life revolves around drama or is complaining and things like that, that's a warning too. Anyway, I've babbled on for so long now. Oh, there was another thing that came up in my dream last night. This is so weird. I actually heard divine masculines and soul flames having conversations about who was going to get the divine feminine. Isn't that crazy? I mean, they were just like debating it out. They weren't fighting or anything. They were just in the 5D. They were just like, well, here's what I can provide for her. Here's what I can do. If I show up now, then this can that and that. And then maybe you can such and such. And they were kind of like working as a team in a way. So they were like, and some of them were like the twins were like, yeah, I guess I'm going to step back in this life and you can have her. Or in some instance, it was the other way around. But it was some very interesting conversations I got to hear. And I was like, is this really wow? So things are about to happen with one of them, or maybe you will have conversations with both just so that you can come to terms with one or both of them. And some of us have multiple soul flames. I think I've counted. I think I've counted 3 or 4 soul flames, a soulmate, a love at first sight, and then I've got my twin flame. So, and the only one talking to me is my soulmate because he's pretty cool. I don't know why these guys ghost like they do. They got lots of different reasons. And some of it's just plain old immaturity. But most of them, I would say, are scared. They're scared they're not good enough. They put you up on a pedestal, think you're too good for them, whatever the situation is. But hopefully they realize that you're just a normal human being, just like anyone else, and maybe just a little more mature than others, but still totally human and can admit your mistakes and have your days when you're pretty upset about things too. But you're honest about them. You're not lying to yourself and you're not lying to other people trying to cover it up like it's not happening. When you're upset, you're upset. And you know how to deal with your stuff too. So anyway, I don't remember what the point of this is, and my butt is starting to hurt, so I got to get up from the seat. But hopefully you've learned something from today's Lighthouse update that's not from the Lighthouse. I will be back. I don't think I'm going to do the show this Sunday either because I just can't sit for that long. I just it starts really hurting. So going back in on Monday to have this checked out and just make sure everything's healing properly. And then I should be good to go. I'm going to be probably back at the Lighthouse next week, Thursday through Saturday, like normal. That is the weekend of, I believe, like the 4th of July. I should be. No, that's going to be the 27th. I'll be back at the Lighthouse that weekend, the weekend before the 4th of July. Yeah, I guess that's it. And have yourselves a beautiful weekend. Glad you're enjoying this coming week's report, collective reading. And if you feel like sharing anything below, do so. Otherwise, just have yourselves a beautiful upcoming week. I have another couple of talks that have been coming to me in the last, well, pretty much just yesterday, because yesterday I had a little bit of myself back, and I was feeling a little bit more normal yesterday and a little bit more today. So a little bit better every day. But yesterday I got a bunch of downloads on some talks I need to be doing pretty soon. So you should be hearing from me shortly about those little talks. All right, guys. Have a good one. Bye.